Hi everyone, I'm Heather Dawson. Welcome to California Life. Well, one of TV's most popular reality shows, Dancing with the Stars, is back this week. Now, many of the show's professional dancers have become household names. So we caught up with some future famous dancers who were featured on Dancing with the Stars. The dancing duo, Alex and Nicole, have been training under the legendary Buddy Schwimmer at the 5678 Dance Studio in Redlands. And they love to swing, salsa, and samba.
My success is that I can make almost anybody do something out there that they thought they couldn't do.
Keep an eye out for Alex and Nicole. They might be headed to another dance show geared towards children. Well, back in the day of neon bikinis, Palm Springs was the destination for spring break in California. But the late Sonny Bono helped put a stop to college kids cruising the Strip more than 20 years ago. So, to help rekindle a relationship with the spring break crowd, tourism officials in Palm Springs sent 55,000 text messages to 18 to 27-year-olds in California. We'll have to check back and see if it worked. Well, if you're looking for more of a challenge, our Spotlight story should pique your interest. Every year, tens of thousands of people flock to California's Eastern Sierras to enjoy skiing, camping, and fishing. But there is one epic challenge found in those rugged mountains that challenges your mind, spirit, and body. David Wiley took that challenge and filed this report from Mount Whitney.
Hidden away in the vast eastern Sierra Nevadas is the majestic Mount Whitney. Rising 14,494 feet above sea level, it is the tallest peak in the lower 48 states and one of the most prized accomplishments for hikers. Located just west of the small town of Lone Pine, about a 4-hour drive north of Los Angeles, Mount Whitney manages to attract adventurers from all over the nation and the world. It had been a long dream of mine to hike this eastern Sierra giant, and on this late September morning, my time had finally come. Our group, 6 in all, assembled at the trailhead at 4:30 in the morning. It's a 22-mile round-trip hike, and we would need the entire day to make our way over the rocky terrain through the thin mountain air. With headlights to light our way, we ventured into the early morning darkness. Within several hours, the sun began to rise, revealing the small Lone Pine Lake. Soon, we were moving up above the tree line, and the trail's incline began to increase dramatically. Deciding to pitch tents and tackle the rest of the hike on another day. But our group was determined to conquer Mount Whitney in a single day. And as we left the barren trail camp, we headed towards what would prove to be the most challenging part of our journey, a section of the trail known as the 97 Switchbacks. This part of the trail quickly scales a steep, rocky slope, gaining more than 1,700 feet in elevation in just 2 miles. With oxygen already in short supply, a slow, steady pace was taken to assure we would make it up one of the trail's most storied parts. We finally reached our next stopping point, a place called Trail Crest. At 13,600 feet, Trail Crest is on the mountain ridge line and is the last stop for many hikers before making their final push to the summit. The views here are spectacular. Looking to the west, there's nothing but vast wilderness, dotted by high Sierra lakes. After refueling, our group was off again to tackle the final 2.8 miles. At this point, the trail opens up, and the terrain becomes otherworldly, like a moonscape, totally barren, nothing but rocks. The air is much thinner, and I'm really struggling to catch my breath. But then, a glimmer of hope. From a distance, we spot a small rock building at the summit. Used as an observatory in the early 1900s, it was a sign that we were almost there. Finally, after more than 8.5 hours of hiking, I made it to the top of Mount Whitney, exhausted but proud of my accomplishment.
Well, that's one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. The tallest mountain in the continental U.S., Mount Whitney. It's got my respect.
And the respect of the 6 in our group, all who made it to the top, many of them first-timers like myself.
One thing is, people that do this all the time, they tell you once you're on top, you're only halfway home. So we got to go back down. It was a great trip. We made it.
As we left the summit, we signed the guest book before making the 5-hour hike back down to the trailhead. And while we had sore muscles and aching backs, we also brought home memories of an adventure we'll never forget. From Mount Whitney, I'm David Wiley for California Life.
Research shows that nearly 1 in 3 kids in the U.S. between the ages of 2 and 19 is overweight. Deborah Seike hopes to dramatically reduce that number with her Life Skills program.
This peaceful health and wellness ranch south of San Diego, California, has existed for 70 years, thanks to the hard work and vision of founder Deborah Seike, a woman whose healthy living efforts are changing the way people take care of their body, mind, and soul.
I call it prevention of obesity through education. Education does everything. Well, that is one education we have neglected.
Deborah, now 88 years old, founded Rancho La Puerta in 1940 with her then late husband, Edmund. The two focused on nature, exercise, education, and eating organic fresh food. Back then, it was only $17.50 a week, and people were required to bring their own tents.
For the first 5 years, it had a dirt floor. We had no power. We had outhouses. We charged $17.50 for a week, but it was 70 years ago. I never had doubts because I knew it would work. We were part of what needed to be done. I think it's feeling part of the greater mission.
One way her mission of educating others about healthy eating habits is fulfilled by letting guests pick organic vegetables and fresh fruit from the ranch's 25-acre garden, and then teaching them how to cook it for a unique hands-on learning experience. She's also a great believer in the Chinese proverb, "Give a man a fish and he will eat for a day." Teach him how to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. That's why she began and oversees a foundation in San Diego and in Tecate, both to help underprivileged youth learn the tools they need, like farming, to live a long and healthy life.
Just doing it for the kids is not the same as they're doing it. There's a lot about bottom up, involving the people. We're talking about involving the children, involving their minds and their bodies rather than just telling them that yes, it's healthy food and you're supposed to eat a rainbow and all that, but having them understand why.
Taking the idea that letting children plant and grow their own food to improve their eating habits, she's created a new project to help kids in the United States, one that combines her love of nutrition, fitness, and education with her experience in government, philanthropy, and activism. The issue she's tackling, childhood obesity.
We are not educating them. We adults know the battle of the bulge. We fight it all the time. We have the tools of literature, we've read things, we know all kinds of ways to help it out. The kids have nothing. They're vulnerable to the marketing. They have nothing to defend themselves. And just school lunches alone won't do it. It has to be a family effort. It has to start in the home, and that's why we're talking about bottom up. The children have to be involved in the decisions if it's going to last.
According to the National Center for Health Statistics, childhood obesity has more than tripled in the last 30 years. The White House claims this is costing the nation $147 billion per year. To help on a national level, Michelle Obama recently launched the Let's Move campaign to help the battle of the bulge and make big changes in the food industry.
Kids need to learn from the moment you're born, cells are beginning to die, and throughout life they're renewed. And that the fuel that the cells use to renew themselves is the food.
Deborah's new project falls in line with the First Lady's crusade to transform the unhealthy eating habits children have today. It's called the Life Skills program, and the idea is to teach 5th graders about the fundamentals of food, how to grow it, and how to adapt an overall healthier lifestyle.
In the 5th grade, I want them to spend that year what I call living skills semester, in which they will still do everything that is required, but they will be rewritten so that the lessons of the body's functions, of nutrition, of the history of food, they will learn math by budgeting.
While she works with national lawmakers and educational experts to get this pilot program in place in the coming years, this senior says nothing is going to stop her from seeing her life skills dream become a reality.
We're only talking about a pilot of 5th grade in 4 states to begin. The 5th grade parent will have to volunteer and will have to come for 2 sessions. But the child will know what causes disease. They will be the people who will be the coach, just as they did with global warming, as they did with smoking, as they did with recycling. They will be the teachers. And then every 6 months, from the 5th grade to the 8th grade, the parents, the siblings, the children, and the school teacher and her family will all have their blood count, their blood pressure, their weight, their BMI checked. And the theories are if it has stayed in normal range for 3 years, it's fixed for life.
By living a holistic way of life and continuing to educate future adults about the power of a healthy lifestyle, it's clear that Deborah Seike's path will make a lasting mark on generations to come. In San Diego for California Life, this is Jennifer Quinones.
Welcome back to California Life. We like to showcase the best California has to offer here on our show, and that includes some of California's most interesting and unique people. Today's California Life profile is bringing you just that. We have one of the original puppeteers from the Disney movie Pinocchio here with us, just in time for the 70th anniversary Blu-ray DVD release of the film. He even performed a special puppet show for us live in studio. Bob Baker joins me now. Bob, I'm so glad to have you here on our show.
Well, my pleasure to be here.
And that was fascinating. I mean, just watching you in action, and like I was saying, it's such a subtle move, yet you do so many different things with the puppet. How did you get started?
Well, I started as, I was 6 years old. I saw a puppet show downtown at Old Barker Brothers and stayed to see all 6 shows. And I drove everybody crazy while I was 7. Then I went to Bullock's Wilshire, and they were selling Mickey Mouse puppets, believe it or not, and made by the Hesped people. And I bought a Mickey Mouse puppet, and then I bought a couple of other puppets, and then my mother turned to the puppeteer that was doing it. It was height of depression, and she says, "How does he learn to do this?" She says, "I'll be happy to give him lessons." And so I said, "When?" And she said, "I'll be there tomorrow morning if you want me." And finally I had a lesson every day but Sunday. And by the time I was 8, I had a whole show together. Bullock's Wilshire said, "I'd like to go out and do a birthday party for Mervyn Leroy, his children." And I went out, did the show, and I got paid. And I went back to Bullock's and I said, "I'll do that anytime you want to send me." And they did that until World War II came along. But it wasn't until I was about 12 or 14 that an animator was living across the street from me from the Disney studio, and he knew I had the puppets, and he said, "Can you work your puppets for me? I want to draw some things." And he took those into the studio, and they invited me to come and work the puppets for all the other animators and making a Pinocchio.
Thank you so much for coming on our show and
My
sharing
pleasure.
some of your insight. It's just fascinating, and we just love having you here, and we would love to come out and see you at your studio sometime.
We'll
have
do
to
that
do that
anytime. Give us a call and make a reservation.
I grew up in a small mining town, and we had a really wonderful art department. And so my brothers and I all really became invested in doing photography, and for photography, we branched out into cinema. Then I moved to Toronto, where I studied film, and then eventually made my move to Los Angeles, where I broke into as a writer first and then director. Well, when I first broke into the film industry in Los Angeles, I had a lucky break on a screenplay that I wrote and directed called Turn It Up. And Turn It Up was a movie I did with Jason Statham, Ja Rule, and Praz of the Fugees. And then from there I did a movie that became really popular called Stomp the Yard, which I wrote with Chris Brown and some other really good people. One of the things that attracted me to the project Stand was that I felt, although set in 1919, it's so relevant to today, with the spread of white nationalism going across not only America, but you see it in Europe. Here's a story that tackles the anti-immigrant theme head on. And I think today, for young people who don't know the history and haven't seen what happened in the past, it's important to see this story because it'll let them see what's going on today and where that led back then. And hopefully it'll have an impact. It'll open up some hearts and minds. I was very fortunate with Stan to have a wonderful cast, starting with Greg Henry from Guardians of the Galaxy. Wonderful actor. He plays the dad in the movie. And I think it's one of his best roles. Laura Wiggins, who's from Shameless, also comes in and plays the young woman who's in love with the Ukrainian boy, which is played by Marshall Williams. Marshall Williams comes from the series Glee, and he's terrific. And then we have a new discovery, Lisa Bell. She sings 4 of the songs in the movie, and she's going to be a huge discovery. So I'm very excited about the talent. The theme song, Stand, really came to the movie when I'd said to the writer, Danny and Rick, that we needed something that felt contemporary, even though our story is set in 1919. And I wanted a song that Lisa Bell could sing and like say bridge the past and the present. And Stand is almost like the anthem for Black Lives Matter, Me Too. It's a real anthem also for women's movement today. And we wanted a song that could do that, and that's what Stand does. Music and dance is universal, and it also breaks down barriers. I think people feel more comfortable when they're in that mood, and dance inspires, as does music. But then you can bring in a message, and you're telling a story. Just like Hamilton, the Broadway musical, took a story from the past and used music and dance to tell that historical story in a way that young people are totally engaged. And I think in Stand, you'll see, especially these songs, they really speak to the heart. And I think that's the only way to do it, is to take important themes, but find a way, just like Fiddler on the Roof, Les Mis, and it'll speak, I think, to a wide audience, both in America and across the country. The message of the movie really is about how we can all get along in this diverse community. And it's very aspirational that despite all the anti-immigration wave that we see today, the theme here is that we really have to find our greater selves and come together as a diverse community. I have my movie Love Jack coming out in February. I'm very excited about that on Netflix. And I've got a small little movie I directed called Trouble Sleeping that we're finishing up right now. It's a thriller, something very different. And we hope to bring that to the market. And then I'm going to get to work on a sort of social dramatic thriller that's interracial called Dancing with the Devil. And it comes from a personal story of mine. And so that's something I'm going to start shopping, as we say in the business, and start putting actors together and hope to be shooting that next year.
For many kids, music lessons are a rite of passage, and whether parents are considering the value of adding another activity to a busy schedule or are already in the middle of the practicing battles, the experts want them to know it is worth it. And the proof is in a recent study.
The results of the study showed that kids who take music lessons had increased problem-solving skills, they had the capability to deal with complex tasks better and to work them to fruition. They had better time management and prioritization skills, and they were more self-aware, and they saw an improvement in social skills as reported by the parents.
The online study commissioned by Guitar Center also found a correlation between music lessons and self-regulated screen time.
Kids were more likely to use their screen time for learning opportunities, and they were balancing their screen time with their other activities.
To learn more about supporting your child's education and musical journey, plus the benefits of music lessons, visit guitarcenter.com.
Yabba dabba doo! If you're a fan of the Flintstones, then you'll want to come and stop by Bedrock City. It's just a short 25-minute drive south of the Grand Canyon here in Arizona. Bedrock City is a combination theme park and museum, all based on the Flintstones.
This is a life-size replication of Flintstones Bedrock City.
Oh, wow.
So you got Fred and Barney's house, the post office, the grocery store.
Have you ever wanted to go inside Fred's or Barney's house? How about the schoolhouse or the grocery store? Well, you can do just that here at Bedrock City. Flintstones fans need to hurry on down to Bedrock City. That's because the owner is getting ready to embark on a 3-year restoration project. Many of the buildings and memorabilia will be auctioned off to make way for Raptor Ranch, a birds of prey park. While the on-site restaurant is closed for the moment, I'm told it will reopen at a later date with a brand new menu. From Bedrock City, here in Arizona, I'm Jason Rasidlo for California Life.
And that'll do it for us here on our show. Thank you so much for watching California Life, where we bring you the best in California every week. Check out our new website, CaliforniaLifeHD.com.
Watch us on our YouTube channel, where we bring you the best of California.